Hello, everyone, and welcome to National Graduate Week, Day 3. This is our second webinar of this morning. I hope everyone is doing as well. I am Andy from CareerMap TV. I'll be your host for today. This session is in collaboration, nearly got there, with Network Rail, where they'll be deep diving into the opportunities they can give to you, as well as what it's like to work at Network Rail. Remember, this session is recorded, so if you do have any queries or questions, just pop them in the chat and the Q&A box, and we'll come back to them at the end of the session. It is recorded as well, so if you do miss it, don't worry, it'll be up on our YouTube channel and our website within the coming days, which will be CareerMap TV. So, without further ado, I'll pass on to Almaveer to continue with the Network Rail session.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for taking the time out to join today's webinar. So my name's Amavir, and I work as part of the early careers team here at Network Rail. Just a little bit about myself. So I started, funny enough, as a graduate myself about 7-8 years ago now. Came through to join Network Rail, had the chance to explore different areas of the business, and then have gone on to take a couple of different roles in sort of recruitment and resourcing, and now I sit in the early careers team responsible for all our graduate and apprentice recruitment. Today's presentation is a 15-20 minute presentation where I'm just going to be talking a little bit about Network Rail, some of the opportunities that we've got available, and as well as just sort of touching on what our recruitment application process is, and also just giving a few hints and tips along the way. And then we'll finish up with any questions. So sort of, as mentioned, if anyone's got any questions, feel free to just drop them in the chat. So who are we? So Network Rail, contrary to popular belief, we don't drive the trains, but what we do is we own, operate and manage all the surrounding infrastructure. So that could be the tracks, the signals, i.e. the sort of the traffic light systems that you see, or our various viaducts and bridges, or also a lot of our stations as well we own and manage too. Our main aim is to put passengers first, and we first and foremost see ourselves as a service organisation which does a lot of engineering work, and ultimately we are accountable to the people that we serve, i.e. the general public. In terms of Network Rail, we've delivered some of the biggest infrastructure projects in the UK, and we are funded in 5-year cycles. And what that does is that allows and ensures for continuous progression with our projects, despite what might happen with government elections, etc., etc. And we have a big push on sustainability at the moment, and we're committed to being basically CO2 neutral by 2050. Now, in terms of vacancies and roles, which I'll be touching on in a second, we have a huge range of different roles that we're recruiting for, and this is all across the country, and that's split out into our engineering and our business schemes, to which we have graduate schemes which last 2 years, which I'll be 1 to sort of 2 years, which I'll be talking on, as well as placement schemes as well. But whichever scheme you decide to choose, whichever pathway you decide to choose, one thing is for sure that what we'll be aiming to do is provide you with all the tools, support and systems necessary to ensure that you're able to have not only just a good and successful time on your graduate scheme, but also then to push you on with your future career as well. Just a little bit about the railway generally before we speak about schemes. So we have a massive impact on the UK overall, whether that's a case of sort of replacing freight from trucks and putting them onto our rail network, ensuring that they are it reduces carbon footprint, all the way through to allowing people to get to work every day, connecting families, connecting businesses to suppliers. And because we run the breadth of the UK, the length and breadth of the UK, a career in rail really does give you a chance to experience a whole host of different areas of the business and different opportunities. Soon, so some people might have heard about Great British Railway, and soon Network Rail will be turning into and be swallowed up by Great British Railway. But in essence, that doesn't mean Network Rail is going to be disbanded or anything like that. All it means is by joining Great British Railway, we are going to be swallowed up with a few other organisations. And the idea behind that is what it will allow us to do is offer more streamlined customer service experiences, making things sure things are more joined up together, and really just trying to simplify our existing rail network and how people interact with it. So I'm just going to run through a couple of our core values, and the reason I'm going to talk about these will become apparent just a little bit later on. So in terms of Network Rail as an organisation, first and foremost, safety is our biggest priority. Because of the size and scale of what we do, and the rail industry ultimately comes with its dangers. And our biggest, value is to ensure everyone comes home safely every day. So that includes not only just passengers, but also those people that work alongside the railway and interact with it. Everybody is empowered to take action, especially when it comes from a safety perspective. Everyone has a voice, and we are always encouraged to spot things that might not look safe, or if there's new ways of working to improve things, then they're always encouraged. People is a big focus of ours. We have a sort of roughly members of staff are around 30 to 40,000. So there's a huge organisation and team amount of people that go into providing the services that we do, and that doesn't even to take into account suppliers and third party operators as well. But ensuring people are looked after, support is in place, ultimately to allow everyone to thrive and do the best that they can. Teamwork is massive, so to deliver and maintain and operate all the different bits of activity that we do, teamwork is critical. And that's not only just when people are working in their own individual smaller teams, but also interacting with other areas of the business or the stakeholders or the suppliers. Being able to sometimes operate as one, even though we might be from different areas of the business or even different companies, is crucial to allowing us to deliver the projects that we do. And I touched on it a little bit earlier, but we are very much empowered to act. So if there's new ways to do things, safer methodologies, cheaper ways to do things, these are always encouraged. And we're really trying to push innovation within the railway. And finally, just to touch on our diversity and inclusion, so we have a very big push on ensuring that we are an inclusive recruitment, and that we have a population of workforce that essentially represents the communities that we service. And what we ultimately believe is allowing people to bring the best selves to work, not having to feel like they need to fit in, and really feeling like Network Rail is a place where we care and we look after each other. Often what you'll notice is, for those of you that do go on to apply for Network Rail, people will refer to ourselves as a railway family more often than not. Now, in terms of the application process, so there's a couple of steps and stages to this. The first is to do step one is a Match Me quiz. Now, this is an optional part of the application process, but might give you a good indication of whether Network Rail is for you, or whether, for example, your skills might be suited elsewhere. And the way the Match Me quiz works is essentially you'll be presented with a couple of different scenarios, and you'll be asked to rank things that you'd be most likely to do against what you'd least likely to do. What I would say when answering the Match Me quiz, you can't really prepare for it per se, but instead, before attempting the Match Me quiz, have an idea of who Network Rail are, what we're trying to do, what our priorities are. So, for example, the slide a second ago, I was talking about how safety is a massive driver for us, then ensuring your Match Me quiz, for example, reflects that you take safe answers and operate in a safe method can only be beneficial. Similarly, for those people that are applying for other organizations and they might also have a Match Me quiz, having an idea of the organization that you're applying for example, if sustainability is an important thing for that organization, possibly considering and answering the most sustainable responses might do well for you. The second step is a online application. So this is a real simple form, and we just ask for some basic information: who you are, what you're studying for, which scheme you might want to apply for. And then you'll be progressed on to the next stage. And this is when the assessment processes actually start to begin. So the third step is, in essence, you'll be presented with an activity to do, and this will be an online. And depending on the scheme that you're applying for, the type of activity that you do will be tweaked for. So, for example, your engineering stuff might be a bit more logic-based, your finance might be a little bit more numerical. And the idea behind this is basically just being able to see how you would fit in with our schemes, and do you sort of have the necessary skill sets. You'll then also be asked, once you've completed the online activity, to also complete a video exercise. And all this is really is you'll be asked a couple of questions, and then you'll have a chance to respond. It's usually around 4 to 5, and you have like a minute or two to respond to each question. Sometimes people can feel a little bit unnerved about the video side of the exercise, but what I do say to people is, when you do, my top tips are, when you do the online test and the video exercise, if first and foremost, again, you've done a bit of research into Network Rail, why you want to work for us, and why you might want to be applying for a particular graduate scheme, that will generally put you in good stead. On top of that, if you give yourself the best opportunity, so what I always say is sort of pick a quiet time at home, somewhere where you know the Wi-Fi is going to be nice and stable, you know you're not going to be disturbed by siblings, pets, parents, the delivery driver. Really just to allow yourself to give yourself the best chance to give it your all. Provided you're successful at the online on the online exercises, you will then be invited to our assessment centre. Some of these are being held physically and some of these are being done remotely. And what they'll generally consist of is you'll have to do some sort of activity. Generally, it will be a bit of a railway engineering, a railway background to the scenario that you're given. And then you're asked to complete a few different exercises based on the information. You'll then also have a one-to-one interview, and this is your chance to not only for us to sort of find out a bit more about yourself, but also for a chance for you to ask any questions, get a feel for what it might be working for at Network Rail. I always say an interview is always a two-way process, where it's a chance not only for the employer to find out more about yourself, but also for yourself to find out more about the employer and if this is a place where you'd like to work. When it comes to assessment centres and interviews generally, the thing I like to say to people is have a think about sort of things that you've done in the past, things that you're doing at university. What skills are you picking up? What are you learning? What could the skills and the types of things that you're doing at university or in your own private life, how could those skills sort of transition across into something that an employer might be looking for? For example, if you play if you're captain of a local sports team for your university society, what you're actually able to show and exhibit is the teamwork in the organizational, the leadership skills, etc. So just showing how you're able to transfer things into a work context can really help. The other thing I would say on the interview, there's no trick questions. We don't try and catch candidates out. All we're really trying to do is genuinely try and get you to perform the best that you can, and for us to find out more about who you are. Often the people that are doing the interviews are former graduates, current line managers of graduates, and yeah, everyone just really wants to see you do as well as possible. I'll touch on reasonable adjustments quickly. So if anybody has any reasonable adjustments or would like any adjustments made, what we encourage people to do is at the initial point where there's an option to ask for more, please tick it. If you don't, that's not a problem. There's a candidate helpline, and we ask candidates to get in contact with the candidate helpline, request the reasonable adjustments that you might need. And what we tend to do is we will adjust each activity based on each individual person, to sort of give you the chance to really thrive and do the best that you can. Now, in terms of graduate schemes, so we are live for applications right now, and we're sort of anticipating our closing date to be sort of mid-December. What I would say is, if anybody does have an interest for any of the graduate schemes that we're recruiting for, please get your applications in sooner rather than later. The only reason why is for certain schemes which are more popular or certain locations, once we have enough applications, we do then stop accepting more, and this is often before the deadline happens. So yeah, so if anyone is interested, please head to the website sooner rather than later, just to apply. We have two sets of schemes. So we have our engineering schemes, which are our civil, mechanical, and our electrical schemes. Each of these schemes are roughly around 2 years long, depending on which pathway you go down. All that we ask is your course is registered to the IMechE, the ICE, or the IET. And the reason for that is basically we'll start the process of chartership when your scheme starts. The support will carry on, but yeah, we'll start the process then and ensure the experiences that you're getting align with those requirements. Our finance schemes, so a similar sort of thing, will support you to become CIMA qualified, as well as giving you study breaks, and also as you qualify, there's a slight increase in your pay too. The network strategy planning and analysis scheme, this scheme's more about the future focus, the future capacity of the railway, what's railway going to look like in the next 20 to 50 years. The Ops and GM scheme is very much understanding the operational nature of the railway, understanding how the railway works, supporting that. You'll have the chance to do some signaller training, so being able to learn how to operate the trains and making sure they go through smoothly, as well as having a chance to get explored to like our station teams, our incident response, everything that goes into place to support our working operational railway, the Ops and GM scheme covers. Our commercial and procurement pathway, this is more focused in terms of contract suppliers. You'll understand the full tender process and the full procurement process. That has to get involved with us being a government organisation and some of the nuances that involves too. Our project management team you'll be involved through the whole project. You'll get exposure through a whole project management life cycle. We call that the GRIP process here. And so what that'll do is you'll get full exposure of what goes into delivering some of the biggest projects that we run sort of for the UK. Our property scheme so with the property scheme, you have to have a RICS qualified degree from the commercial pathway, and the property scheme you'll learn about so we're one of the biggest landowners in the UK, and you'll learn about how we manage the various different bits of infrastructure and property that we have, whether that relates to renting commercials for people renting space in our stations, or whether it's to selling some of our land, access, etc., things like that. And then our IT and business service scheme. So this really touches and goes into sort of all of our IT focused areas in the business. So that might just be your usual sort of IT data processing, but also cybersecurity, telecoms. There's a real chance to get involved in a whole host of different things related to our IT and our sort of computing elements of what brings and makes a railway work altogether. Good. Now, in terms of the good bits, the benefits, etc. So on top of pretty much every scheme comes with further support and further study support to bring you some nationally recognised qualifications. The salary is also $29,838. You will receive a welcome bonus of $2,000, and that's for when you start, just to help you settle in. You get 28 days annual holiday, and that doesn't include the bank holidays, so those are on top. On top of that, you also have the chance to get involved in, like we have, everyone gets 5 days volunteer leave. So if anyone wants to do any volunteering, they get 5 days to do so. And on top of that, you get discounted travel as well as an interest-free season ticket loan and a whole host of other different benefits, for example, like saving money if you're shopping, phone contracts, dental plans, etc., that sort of stuff. And that, in a nutshell, is it. Excuse me, poor slides. Is it from me. I just wanted to give a real quick introduction into who we are, what our processes are, and some of the schemes that we're recruiting for this year. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to just pop them in the chat. There's a register your interest here, so you'll enter our talent pool to receive emails and comms. But if you do want to just go and apply, if you Google Network Rail Early Careers, all of our schemes are on there. Please feel free to take a look.
Lovely. Very nice. I'm very informative. So we've got quite a lot of questions, so we'll crack on. Jess says, hi, Amavir. Do you recruit international students?
So we do, but with our international students, what we ask is we don't provide the sponsorship. If somebody has gone and got the right visa to work in the UK, we will accept them, but we don't sponsor.
Okay, perfect. Jade says, do Network Rail offer any work experience for grads or taster days before they commit to an application? She's seen lots of grad schemes from various employers, but she's a bit stuck as to which to go for. Thanks.
So we don't offer taster days per se, to be completely honest with you. Mm-hmm. If you'd want to find out more, what I'd say is maybe check out the website, check out Network Rail, register your interest onto here as well. And we'll send various bits of comms, some articles, case studies, etc. of what it's like to work at Network Rail, just to really give you an idea. And that's what I would say my best bet is, to be completely honest. And also, just a bit of advice, if there's a few that you're interested in, apply for them all. Often with these processes, sometimes they can be a little bit cutthroat. And sometimes it's a case of whoever's had a bit of a stronger coffee on the day goes through. But often the other thing as well is the more you... I'm not saying just to apply for every single one, but the more you do apply for, it does help you get into the rhythm and the routine of what it's like to fill in grad applications. While all of them are a bit different, generally there's some commonalities in them, and that will just help just develop muscle memory, if nothing else.
Perfect. Question from Sarah. Is the engineering stream all track work, or do grads get to work on other projects? If so, can you give some examples?
Yeah, so not all track work. So basically, with the engineering schemes, there's a whole host of different things. So you could plan track, there's off track, there's our station work, there's assets and renewals. It's not just track. I couldn't give you the exact specifics because that's not my background, but it's a case of what happens is when you're on the scheme. So when you're on the scheme for the engineering one, your first 6 months are actually something called business familiarization, where basically you get to sort of try any area of the business, not even related to business, to engineering, to give you a sort of a holistic approach to what it's like to work at Network Rail before you then go on to each of your different placements. And the good thing is generally, you're very much encouraged to try find your own placements and stuff. So when you're if there's certain areas of the business that you'd like to find out more, would want to work in a local team, it's relatively flexible, to be honest.
Perfect. Good answer. Chloe says, hello. Hello, Chloe. I know you mentioned that you were a grad. What is your role now, and how has your role changed as you've progressed through Network Rail?
So I came through on like a general management scheme a few years ago, sort of decided I wanted to go down the HR route, did some HR stuff, some business partnering, then working onto resourcing, and then sort of the way so I do volume recruitment campaigns, so our early careers and a few other roles. So yeah, it's just more exposure. And yeah, I think the one thing people don't realize until you join Network Rail is like we're massive and there's so much scope of things you can do, either to go up and down or left or right in terms of your career. It's really endless.
Very good. Hopefully on to the next thing.
Yes.
Who knows? Well, how about that? Have you got any future career plans or anything within Network Rail that you would like to progress?
So potentially so actually. So my next thought is, for example, for myself is more so where I stand delivering the campaigns and get to choose what suppliers, what avenues, etc. we use, but more taking on a wider ownership of attraction as a whole at Network Rail.
Very nice. Very good. Polly says, how are graduate trainees actively involved in contributing to these sustainability goals, and what initiatives or projects are in place to drive environmental responsibility?
So with our environment and sustainability stuff, so we have a whole team dedicated to working on it, that specifically, and they all sort of drive down initiatives which then feed out to all of our different business areas. If anybody wanted some specifics and stuff, if you Google Network Rail Sustainability, there's a whole host of all the different activities we've got on, as well as our sustainability like pledges and policies, and just shows you some of the activity that we've got going on. But there's a whole host to get us to neutral by 2050, and I think we're already about like 90% of the emissions are caught already.
Wow, very good, very nice. Callum says, will there be more opportunities with the rebrand?
So yes, and what you tend to find is as change happens, typically this usually invites and creates new opportunities in the business. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Ahmed says, what specific projects or initiatives have Network Rail's previous graduates have been involved in, and how have their contributions impacted the company's overall goals and objectives? Kind of like Polly, but more general.
Yeah, so I guess a whole host. Generally, what our grads, when you're in, what you'll do is you'll get involved in the projects that we're getting involved in at the time. So people might have, some of our grads help with the rebuild of Birmingham New Street. We have various other initiatives. For example, we had a DICE thing where basically all of our engineering grads got together and basically created a program to support engineers from like underrepresented communities and stuff like that. There's a whole host of various types of activity, but I think the thing is you'll get involved in real work and you'll support the day-to-day running of the railway. It's not a case of where like you're just doing odds and sods bits. You're very much seen as a vital part of teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kasim says, I'm interested in your commercial program. Please can you give me info on salary, key responsibilities, and typical progression routes of graduates in this area?
So salary is 29,838. In terms of responsibilities, you'll get involved in pretty much the whole end-to-end commercial process. Probably what you'll do is work over a variety of different projects, and they'll be going through different areas of our commercial processes. So you'll get an exposure to all the whole end-to-end and get a chance to work on a few different projects as well along the way. Mm-hmm. And then in terms of at the end of it, people usually come out as sort of commercial managers, procurement managers, etc., and then just progress their careers from there.
Perfect. Do you mind, because I know some people over the past graduate week just when they have sometimes using their phone for this webinar so they can't access the QR code.
Yeah.
So can you just like put it the wee link?
Oh yeah, not a problem. I'll pop a link in the chat just as we finish up for
no, just so it's easier for you guys who are watching. On the next one, Ali says, why did you apply for the scheme and what's made you stay? Big question.
I think the thing that made me apply at the time was a couple of things. Big reputable organisation who've run graduate schemes in the past, so they know there's a path well trodden. Because there's always a state of change, flux going on within the railway, things are always tweaking, etc. It just naturally provides opportunities. And in terms of what made me stay so far, a real good culture. Generally, we're pretty looked after. There's a real sense of everyone helping each other. I get a nice, flexible work-life balance. So yeah, sort of from a holistic perspective, it ticks a fair few boxes for me, and not just the work that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Good answer. Ellis says, what would you say is your biggest challenge in your role, and will you be at the interview or will it be someone else?
My biggest challenge in this role is ensuring you lovely people apply for our graduate schemes. And then in terms of will I be involved in interviews, etc. So generally, yeah, I will get involved in some of them, but these are quite large operations, if you like, when we run all our assessment activities. So you'll either be sort of interacting with volunteers from the area. So if you're working in finance, you'll probably have some of the finance team getting involved. For example, some of the finance grads usually help as buddies on the day, as well as doing some interviews. And then you also probably get a chance to speak to the people who are going to be managing you as well. So you very much will have a chance to speak to the people that'll be around you generally when you start, which just helps you yourself also get an idea of, okay, is this type of area the type of people I want to be working with?
Perfect. Jessie says, do you get a lot of applications, and is there a typical person that you find you steer towards when making an applicant successful, or is everyone different at Network Rail?
So generally, we do get a fair few applications coming through, especially for some schemes are more subscribed than others, and especially for certain locations. Like you can imagine, our London operation scheme fills really quickly, as opposed to a North Scotland where there's more sheep than people type stuff. And then in terms of, sorry, I forgot the second half of the question there.
To make an applicant successful.
Oh yeah, that was it. So I think the one thing that really stands out is, so yeah, whilst people that work together, people who are able to work as a team player, people that are able to sort of think for themselves, take initiative, that sort of stuff is all really great. I think the main thing is just being yourself, bringing yourself, showing how you're able to really help and support the business is the main thing. Everyone's different, and we encourage that. I think it's just, be yourself, show how much you'd like to work for the company and what you can do, and you'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine.
There you go. Lovely, thank you. Tara next says, is there an opportunity to work in all the engineering schemes to decide which area of engineering she prefers?
So you can't go from civil to mechanical to electrical. And the reason why is each of the pathways require accreditation from certain awarding bodies. So, for example, for a civil engineering scheme, you need to have been qualified by the your degree needs to fall under the ICE accreditation. Okay. Same thing with the mechanical, the IMEC-E. And similar with the electrical, which is the IET. And the reason why is then we support your chartership as you go on through the scheme and afterwards. But generally, all of those schemes have a lot of crossover in terms of the area of the business that you can get involved in and sort of the things that you do, because some disciplines like mechanical and electrical stuff can overlap. So you will still get a real varied experience in terms of what Network Rail offers from like an engineering perspective.
Yeah, well, answers your question, Tara. On the next one, Josh says, hi. Hello, Josh. What happens after the schemes finish, please?
So we don't boot people off. What we do is, as the scheme's sort of winding down, what we'll do is we'll encourage you to start looking at roles, start putting your application for sort of normal roles, if that makes sense, to get you off the graduate schemes. And by then you'll have picked up a load of experiences, a load of networks, etc., etc. It's not a case of after the 2 years you're cut off. At that point onwards, you'll still be doing bits and bobs as part of your scheme, but we'll just keep helping and encouraging you to find an application until you find something that really suits.
Perfect. Very nice. What about dates for applications as well?
So we're live now, and we'll be closing sort of, we've earmarked the 20th of December, but like I said, once we have enough, we will close.
Mm-hmm. So get your registries in as soon as possible.
Yes, please.
Ahmed says, do many graduates find starting Network Rail challenging? And if so, what support is given?
I think for some people it can be a challenge, just because if you've come from uni into work, just getting adapted, used to working life, if that makes sense. But generally, there's a lot of support in place. When you first join, you're mixed with some of your other graduates, so you can start to build some friendships and know who people are. some of the grads that I met when I started, I'm still friends with. But on top of that, you'll also get grad buddies, so people on your scheme who are like a year or two past you, just to give you that sort of day-to-day informal support. Typically, you'll then have like a placement manager. So that's the person that's going to sort of look after you whilst you're on each individual different placement, making sure from a day-to-day you're getting what you need. And then usually you have like a line manager, and they'll be the person that almost looks after you holistically, just making sure you're doing fine on the scheme. What you're going to be doing for your next rotation? Have you got an next rotation? Can they help, etc., etc.
Very nice, very nice. Polly says, what type of land do you own? Are the train stations owned by Network Rail? Is that what you mean?
So we own a fair few of the train stations, and then we also own various bits of property and land around our stations, around our track, the viaducts, the bridges, all that sort of stuff as well.
I've seen the one near Piccadilly, the big building out the back.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
It's got Network Rail on the top. Because I'm always like, is Amavir in there? But I don't think so. On to the next one. So Celeste says, hi Celeste. Do you offer marketing graduate roles? And if so, can I do this if I have done a degree apprenticeship and not a normal degree?
So we don't offer a marketing specific graduate scheme, to be completely honest. If marketing is your route that you want to go down and you did want to work for Network Rail because you've already done a degree apprenticeship, I'd say possibly look at our normal careers page for any entry level marketing positions and go from there.
Very nice. She also asks, I don't know if it's the same person, but she says, well, when you mentioned the biggest challenge is to recruit graduates on your program, can I work in marketing doing this for you? I believe that's a recruiter role.
Well, funny enough, we were recruiting a few weeks ago actually for a backfill, but I've stopped the recruitment for that. But what I would say, if marketing is your bag and something you really want to go down, I would check our website for as and when we do have marketing recruit or even comms roles, communication roles, because that's also a nice entry into that sort of comms marketing world. So that's what I would say. We do recruit fairly regularly across the business, so look at our comms and our marketing roles and start from there.
Very nice. Ahmed says, are the graduates that you started with at Network Rail, are they still there? And if so, are they doing the same thing?
Some come, some go. The thing with Network Rail is the good thing is some come, some will go, some will come back a bit later on. Is because we're a pretty well-known entity. Some people will start as a graduate scheme, and because Network Rail is we work quite closely with a lot of stakeholders. So someone might, for example, be doing some work alongside Balfour and then decide to work for Balfour Beatty after going to Network Rail, or someone might want to go to XY company. Because we interact with a lot of organisations. The railway industry is quite incestuous, so people do a lot of moving around with just within railway. So some might go to like a train operating company for a few years, and then maybe they'll come back and go again. And other people will sort of float across. So we get a lot of people that stay, some that go and then come back later on in their careers. Because of who we are as a grad scheme, it's not a bad place to start your first career in terms of your CV.
Is that connection still there for when people say leave and we want to come back? That idea of coming back is still possible?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And if anything, sometimes it's encouraged because almost you're going out getting some external perspective. It might be from a train operating company or something like that. So yeah.
Very nice, very good. Question from Sarah. Is the engineering stream all track work, or do grads get to work on other projects? If so, can you give some examples, please?
So sort of similar as before, you'll get a chance to mold your placements to things that might interest you. So no, not all track work at all.
Not all of them, no problem. Tara says, what employers will you be joining the Great British Rail? Will Balfour, who you mentioned, be a part of it?
No. These will be more specific railway companies and bodies that already exist.
Amazing. Let's see if I have left any out. I don't think so. Well, I'll move on to the one that I usually ask. have you got any words of advice for the people of this webinar if they would like to join Network Real?
I think in terms of applications, best thing to do is throughout the process, and generally it's really clear when someone spent a little bit of time doing a bit of research about the company. You don't need to go into reams and reams and understand all our objectives, etc. But if you've got an idea, and I think this steadfast for most companies actually, but if you've got an idea of who we are, what we're doing, what we're trying to achieve, and why you'd want to work there, that would honestly go a long way. So even if you're able to spend just a couple of hours just doing a little bit of light Googling, nothing crazy, it really does make a big difference in your answers that you give throughout the different assessment processes that we have for Ask It, and then also at the interview too.
Perfect. Amazing. Have you got any other questions that regular questions that you feel maybe some people haven't asked that you usually get?
All I would say is on the assessment centres, sometimes we do like a group activity. Generally, what I say is, and this sometimes sounds daft, but make sure you work as a team, because often that's what we want to see, is how you interact as a group, how you work well with each other. Do you bring other people into the conversation? Do you build on each other's points? And sometimes what we tend to find is people don't say too much, and you could be the best person in the world, but if in that 30-minute window when you do this activity we don't hear anything, we don't have anything to assess you on. So I'd say, yeah, just give it your best shot.
Fair. We got some more came in there. We got Polly said, should we only use information from the Network Real website, as other stuff could be false?
Other stuff's fine too. I think having an idea of, it's not a case of you need to go to any real strong evidence bases for in-depth analysis, but just an idea of Network Rail, what we're trying to do, what our values are, the sort of stuff that I touched on in a little bit more detail. And if you can show that you've done a bit of that and you've got an idea of why you want to work for us, you're good to go. No one's going to be trying to fact check you or anything, but just if you've got an idea of the environment that we operate in and what we're trying to do, you can't go too far wrong.
Always good. Don't trust too many sources.
Yes, yeah.
I stick local. Question from Peter. How many grads are recruited each year, and which are the most popular schemes within Network Real?
So I couldn't tell you off the top of my head just grads, but for grads and our placements all combined, we're recruiting for around 370 roles. It's about 100 more than compared to last year. So we're doing a big recruitment drive. And yeah, some schemes are more popular than others. I'd say generally it's the locations that tend to go first. So your big city locations where people want to work.
Okay.
More likely to go first.
Perfect. Chloe asks, where are the assessment centre location?
That will be confirmed to you later down the line when you're through the process, etc. I'd say not to worry about it now. A fair few of them will be remote and online, so you'll be contacted with further info at the time. So don't worry.
Very nice, very perfect. Ahmed says, are there a lot of night hours on some schemes?
So for some schemes, yes. Your engineering and your operation roles, there's a chance to get involved in stuff that we do sort of at night. Reason why is when people aren't using the track is often when we get a lot of the engineering renewals and other stuff going on. To be honest, it's pretty fun. It's actually cool because you get to see a whole other area of the business like come to life at night. Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. But generally, that's our operations and our engineering schemes. Typically, our usual, your finances, your ITs, etc., are your regular 9-to-5s. But generally, people like to go out and do track visits and stuff like that. And because you're a grad, it's a lot easier for people to do that. So yeah, even if you're in those office roles and you want to see some of the night stuff that we do when we've got a possession or something, people are usually more than happy to have like guest visitors and stuff on site. So you can get to see it even if that's not your remit.
Very nice, very nice. Question from Jesse says, do teams collaborate with other departments then too, like IT and engineers, for example?
Yeah. Our whole business runs on communicating with different teams, different areas. Almost there's so much interactions and interfaces with different elements. Yeah, absolutely.
Very nice. I think we've got through them all.
Is that there?
Yeah, we've got a few posted in there just as we were talking. So we'll see if anyone has any more questions to pop them in, or forever hold your peace. While they're doing that, Amavir, do you want to put in the wee link?
Yes, yeah, I'll do that now.
It's easier for all you guys who are here to look on the website, to maybe apply, get your applications in ASAP. I believe everyone's finished for questions. You all good, guys? Oh, Tara, where are you? Oh, I see it. Are there many social events as part of Network Rail, and is it a good culture?
Social events, yeah, generally, especially when the grad schemes, what we tend to find is like as a cohort, everyone tends to gather and gets involved in bits and bobs. I think that's gone through into the chat.
No, it's just in the Q&A.
Sorry,
Q&A bit.
Yeah, so you're treated as a cohort. So generally, you'll make good friends with people on your scheme. I can only speak for myself, but yeah, it's generally when it comes to like work-life balance and getting involved in things and all the other non-work related stuff. There's a lot there. There's a lot there. Some people are in like bands. Some people are in all sorts of football teams. All sorts of stuff that people get involved in from like a social side. There's like a whole set of social clubs and stuff. Even in like the office that I'm in, there's like a small gym and stuff like that. So there's a fair few bits.
Well, on that, do you want to talk about how maybe the work-life balance fits into that? How it fitted in for you, maybe?
Yeah. So generally, Alan's been quite flexible to work hours and work-life balance generally. Don't get me wrong, some roles in certain situations and certain placements, for example, if there's like a track possession, you'll probably need to be there at X time and finish at Y when there's certain shift patterns. But generally, our work-life balance is really flexible. Things are left to informal arrangements with like line managers and stuff. So, I mean, I work from home 4 out of 5 days in a week. If I didn't turn up into the office for 3-4 of those days, the 3 weeks, for example, it's fine. It's generally things work on a trust basis. So as long as you're getting your work and your output done, every team works a little bit differently. But it's I couldn't praise it more, to be honest.
Very good. Sounds very good. Ahmed says, do different people socialize like managers and grads?
Yeah. And often they'll do bits together. What you'll tend to find is as well, even when you're in like your local teams, some people will do like team meetings, and usually what they'll do is there'll be like a thing of the day, and then there'll be some sort of social bit at the night. So yeah, plenty to muck in with.
Very nice, very nice. I think that's all from everyone. See if I just do a quick run through. I've got everything. Yep. So, thank you very much, Amavir, for taking everyone through what it's like to work for Network Rail, being like we had our own little interview there for the past half an hour. So it was very informative. Thank you very much. Hopefully that answers everyone's questions who was here. Remember, if anyone else has any questions, you can get in contact with Network Rail or Amavir to answer those questions, as well as if you do miss anything on the webinar, it is recorded, remember, and I'll be up on our YouTube, Career on TV. Go like, subscribe, watch our shorts. That's where you'll see a lot of me, as well as my other team. And it's always good fun to support everyone else and support Network Rail as well. I don't know if Network Rail has a YouTube. I'm pretty sure it does.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Yes. Go support them as well. I'm sure we'll collab in the future, won't we, Amavir?
Definitely, absolutely.
Perfect. So yeah, thank you very much for joining, everyone. Thank you very much, Amavir. Have you got any final words you'd like to say?
No, just a massive thanks for everyone for taking time out of their day to attend today's webinar, and just best of luck for everyone's future careers.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you very much, Amavir. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next webinar for National Graduate Week.
Cheers. Take care now.
Cheerio. All the best, Amavir.